My mother-in-law tried to squeeze into my wedding dress and destroyed it, then refused to pay for the damages or even apologize. The day I picked out my wedding dress, my mother-in-law commented, "I wonder if that still fits me." I jokingly responded, "Maybe, but you're not trying it on." "Well, why not? Just to see how it fits me, what's the problem?" I tried to explain it, but she wouldn't listen, even crying crocodile tears about how she never got to have a wedding. I replied, "And why didn't you?" "Oh yeah, you cheated on your fiancé." I admit I crossed the line, but what she did afterwards was much worse. She came over to talk it out, but when she excused herself to the bathroom, she didn't return for a long time. When I went to check on her, I heard grunting in my bedroom, and upon walking in, my world stopped. She was squeezing into my wedding dress, and as she was doing so, the seams tore, and the side zipper alongside the sheer backing of the dress fully burst open. As soon as this happened, I felt faint. I spent thousands of dollars on the dress and more to get it tailored. "What have you done?" I yelled at her, and she only replied with, "Don't worry, we can fix it." I asked why she would try to fit into my dress. After the conversation we had, after I explicitly told her no, she said the same thing she did to me previously, that she wanted to see if it still fits her, and that she wanted to feel like a bride. I yelled at her. This was less than 2 months before the wedding, and she ruined my dress. She acted like it wasn't a big deal and told me I was overreacting. I explained to her that I wasn't sure I could get it fixed in time for the wedding, or if I could even get it fixed at all. The original tailor I went to had a wait list for months, and I was lucky to get the appointment time that I did before the wedding. She again didn't seem bothered and didn't even apologize. My husband overheard us arguing and ran into the room to see what was going on. He looked at the dress on the floor and asked me what happened. I told him that his mom ripped my dress, and he looked horrified. He told her that she would have to pay for one as soon as possible since the wedding was only a few weeks away, but I had my heart set on that dress. It was the perfect one for me. Before I could express that to my fiancé, she was refusing, saying that it wasn't her fault that I got an unreliable wedding dress. She then tried to paint the picture as if she were doing me a favor. She said I should be thanking her because if a wardrobe malfunction happened at the wedding, then I wouldn't have had any time to get a new dress. I snapped and told her there would have been no malfunction because she was 4 sizes bigger than me. My husband chimed in and said that that wouldn't have been an issue because we got the dress tailored to fit me, but she wasn't listening. I demanded that she pay for my new dress since she had ruined this one, but she continued refusing. I realized that I wasn't getting anywhere in this conversation and I stormed out. My fiancé stayed in the room and continued talking to his mom. I should have known that she would have been a pain while we planned the wedding because she was always overstepping boundaries. One time when me and Brian first started dating, she told me that she would always be the #1 woman in his life. I didn't think too much of it until she made it known that Brian was her boy. Whenever we were together, she would often text and ask when he was coming home, or even call in the middle of our date to gossip about some of her girlfriends. After I told him how I felt, he put an end to that, and she was bearable for the next few years. Sometimes she would overstep my boundaries, but not enough for me to leave Brian. Ripping my dress was the worst one yet. The next day, I went to the same bridal shop where I found my last dress. I crossed my fingers, hoping that I would find one that didn't need to be tailored since we were low on time. When I got there, I was met by the same happy woman that helped me last time. She asked why I was back, and I was too embarrassed to tell her the real reason why I needed a dress, so I told her that the other one got chewed up by my dog. We looked for hours, trying to find the second dress for me. When I finally found one that I loved, I FaceTimed Brian to show him. His mom was with him in the car. He looked in love with the dress and said I looked stunning. I could see his mom looking over at the phone and sighing in disapproval. I ignored it the first time. He asked how much it was, and I told him that it was only $1,500 and that we didn't need a tailor for it. He sounded more than satisfied with the price, and that's when his mom joined in, saying, "I hope it's more durable than the other dress because that one was terrible." I felt my face turn red. She said that on speakerphone while I was right in front of the stylist. I quickly told them that I would speak with them later and hung up the phone. I apologized for her behavior, and the stylist laughed and said she'd heard worse. The next few days were the roughest points in our relationship. Me and Brian got into petty arguments about the dress, and his actions really caught me off guard because out of nowhere, he seemingly started to side with his mom. He said he would pay for the new dress and told me not to worry about it. I told him that unless he made boundaries, his mom would continue thinking that she could run our relationship. Brian said he felt torn between us because he loved us both and wished we could be on the same page. 2 weeks before the wedding, we were at dinner, and his mom brought up the wedding dress again. She asked where it was, and I said that I wouldn't tell her so she could ruin that one too. Brian said that I was being petty and to let it go, but this was the truth. She said out of the blue that I was trying to steal the last thing in her life that made her happy, and that I should be grateful to have her in my life. At that moment, I heard the doorbell ring. It was my friend Emily. Brian said she invited her to have dinner with us because I seemed tense these past few weeks. For that night, I finally felt a sense of relief. We didn't mention the dress. I enjoyed my friend, and the food was amazing. The next day, though, I got a call from Brian's aunt saying that I should stop bringing up the dress, and that I was overreacting to the whole situation, even though it was my wedding. She said I was wrong for demanding money from her since I knew she was living paycheck to paycheck. More of the family called me leading up to the wedding, some siding with me and others siding with Brian's mom. When I brought this up to Brian, he would tell me, "Well, maybe my mom didn't mean to ruin the dress, and it's just a dress. And plus, we already got another one." Every time we were all together, he'd try to de-escalate the arguments, but it seemed like each time his mom and I argued, she seemed satisfied, like he he was taking her side. The more we talked, the more it felt like he was agreeing with her. We spoke on the dress one afternoon, and he told me that the dress shouldn't ruin my big day, and maybe I was overreacting. I tried to explain that it was the principal, and that she would only make our day worse, but he couldn't see it. The closer we got to the wedding, the less he was spending time with me. I noticed his mom would always call him or stay with him while we tried to be together. It started to feel like the first time we dated again. While me and Brian were picking out the flowers for my bouquet, his mom insisted that she be there. I told him that I didn't want her there, and he said that I should let her since she had no one else in her life to hang out with. I reluctantly agreed, and the second I found one that I liked, I could feel her eyes staring me down. They were champagne and pink. These were my favorite colors, and I wanted to buy them. I asked Brian how he felt about them, and he said they looked great. Then his mom said that those colors weren't right for the wedding and that I should go with red roses instead since they symbolize passion and romance. Instantly, Brian told me that she had a point and that I should consider her opinion. I ended up getting the red roses, but I wasn't too happy about it. As we were driving home, he suggested that I let his mom have more input on the wedding since she had a good call on the flowers. I asked him what he meant by that, and he said that she would probably be good at helping plan the rest of the wedding since she had more experience. He went on to say that she just really wanted to help and be a part of the day. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The person who almost ruined my wedding day claimed she wanted to help it. I said if he wanted her to be a part of the wedding so badly, he should marry her instead of me. He was shocked to hear this and said he didn't mean it in a bad way, but that's how he always was. I would say I didn't like how he always took her side or tried to include her so much in our relationship, and then he'd paint me as the hostile one. I didn't want to argue, so I sat in silence for the rest of the car ride. The final week before the wedding, Brian's mom walked into the living room and asked where we were catering from, and I told her that it was a local restaurant that I loved eating growing up. She said that I should cater from a fancier restaurant so the experience would be more upscale. I told her it was my celebration, but she ignored me and proceeded to ask where exactly the venue was. I showed her the location, and she asked me why I chose that place because there was a lot of crime in the neighborhood where it was. She called the whole wedding ghetto and said that I should have asked her for more help in planning it. I tried to keep my cool, but my blood was boiling. As I was about to walk out of the room, she saw the guest list on my computer screen and told me that I needed to cut it in half because she had more people on their side of the family that wanted to come. I had had enough. I told her to leave it alone, and if she had so many grievances about my wedding, then she shouldn't feel obligated to come. She rolled her eyes and called on Brian. Brian walked into the room wondering what was going on yet again, and as I explained that his mother was trying to ruin our wedding once again, he said that she was just trying the best way she knew how. I could tell in his voice that he was sincere and that he was trying to keep the peace between us, but his mom took it as him siding with her again. She said, "Yeah, so before you try to run your mouth to my boy, you should know that I'm only here to help. You better appreciate it. Most parents aren't as involved with their kids' lives, and that's how you make screw-ups." I was heated and walked upstairs. I sat alone in the bedroom and cried to myself. I had no one to help me. I felt like my feelings weren't being validated. Brian didn't even come to my bedroom to see if I was okay. I cried myself to sleep that night. The day of the wedding was here, and I wasn't nearly as excited as I was just weeks before. It felt like I was going through the motions of someone else's dreams. I didn't get the dress that I wanted. The flowers I had were in a shade I despised, and I wasn't even sure if my groom wanted to be with me. As I was getting my makeup done, Brian's mom, soon-to-be mother-in-law, walked into the room with me and my bridesmaids. She was wearing an eggshell-colored dress, and I asked her what she was wearing. She said it was the family tradition to wear an eggshell-colored dress to your son's wedding. I said she couldn't wear that. It was my day. She said if I had an issue with it to take it up with Brian because he was the one that took her to buy the dress. I went into the room where Brian was getting ready and told him to tell his mom to take off that dress, or she wouldn't be attending the wedding. He hesitates and his mom walks into the room right after. "Well, what are you waiting for? Tell her." He tells me that I was overreacting a bit because technically, the color was eggshell and not white like my dress was. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I ran back to my room and cried. The makeup look that was almost complete was smeared all over my face. I began rethinking everything. I knew I couldn't continue to live my life like this. I had to tell Brian how I felt. As I was heading back to the room, I overheard him and his mom talking. His mom said that I was a crybaby and asked him if he wanted to marry someone like that. He told her that he loved me. Then his mom rebutted that when she was my age, she had never cried and told him he needed a real woman. She then went on to say, real women don't get upset over measly dresses or have cheap weddings like the one we were having. My heart sank as I heard Brian's response. Maybe you're right. The dress fiasco was a big deal for her, but we got the one she needed, so she shouldn't have dragged it out so long. And as for the wedding, I just wanted to make everyone happy. I felt a lump in my throat. I opened the door to the room, and they looked at each other like they'd seen a ghost. I told Brian to his face that I would not be marrying him because of him enabling his mom to overstep all the boundaries we set and left. I felt my heart shatter as I said the words. As I ran out, I heard his mom say, "I knew it was only a matter of time." He chased behind me, trying to convince me to stay. He said that he promised to be a better partner and that he would compromise. But all I could think about was this exact conversation we had when we first started dating, and I knew that I was making the right decision in stepping out of the cycle. I knew that I couldn't live my life with a person who couldn't fully support me and put me first. Against my better judgment, I let him almost convince me to stay. After I heard his spill, he said that I should also try to make things right with his mom. I asked him how he wanted me to do that, and he said I should apologize to her for causing so much drama. That was the icing on the cake. I left and told him to lose my number. I knew that I deserved a better partner who could treat me the way I wanted to be treated. As the months went by, Brian called and texted me non-stop from different numbers trying to get back together. I ignored them and focused on bettering myself for the right person, and life began to start looking up again.